Welcome to my 365th day living in this van all across North America. I got lucky enough last night to get into one of my all-time favorite campsites that I've ever come across. The other thing I'm conscious of is that when I first built this van and made my van tour video, almost none of you that are subscribed to the channel now were subscribed back then. And a lot has changed in the van, so let me run you through some of the changes and give you a full overview again of how I designed this. Starting up front with the kitchen, there have been a few changes. This is not the original faucet that I had before. That thing froze and exploded, which you're going to notice is a pretty common theme among a lot of the plumbing in this van. I have taken this van down to negative 40 degrees and many nights below negative 20. I mean, dozens. So pretty much everything that can freeze has frozen. Yes! If not multiple times. Sink is the same. Water spigot is the same, although I have not replaced that filter in about 6 months. Shows you where my head's been at. Underneath here, you'll notice that there is no gray water tank like there used to be. Everything just drains out straight to the bottom. That thing got so disgusting and clogged I realized I just didn't need it. Hot water heaters work perfectly fine. Still takes about 10 minutes to heat up those 3 gallons. And that's all I ever need to clean my dishes, so that's perfect. In the propane locker, on top of there being lots of random stuff stuffed in there, I have insulated the entire thing. Same goes with behind the plumbing system, to at least keep some of the ice out of there. And the same case with this is the pressure of the propane gets so low when the temperature is low. So insulating it like this, as well as adding this register, allows some of the heat from the propane heater to actually reach the propane tank that is supplying it. That way it can stay at reasonable temperatures. You can find your way out, buddy? There you go. Over on the fridge section, you'll notice that it looks the same, although these slides have been replaced countless times. Now they finally have heavy-duty slides like this that shouldn't fail too much. The problem was that I would either forget to lock it, or my little locking lug here would slowly work itself loose, allowing everything to go fly open every time I would make a right-hand turn, which was not ideal. So instead, I have come in and made this little locking lug spring-loaded, and made a little notch down here as well as that little screw that holds it in place. That way, this thing, it may move a little bit like this because of the spring, but that gives it some flexibility. And it stops right here. This is where it bottoms out. So it never ever opens up and destroys everything anymore. I'm running out of screw holes and places to mount slides because both of these slides have been replaced at least 3 or 4 times. It's been a problem, but now it shouldn't be anymore. Too many flies on that side. As for this area, these switches still work perfectly. All the electrical components have yet to actually fail in any ways that are more than user error, which is great because some of that stuff would be quite difficult to replace. The bed lift also works perfectly. I've had to do some maintenance with the track actuators along the corners, but their functionality has not stopped. So that still does function as designed. And every single night the bed goes into place just as it should. My closet hasn't been retrofitted at all. This cubby has ended up becoming for bags, and most of my jackets are able to fit down here, so this has been a perfectly good design with my pants, shirts, and underwear and socks up here. Everything I need fits in there just fine, and I end up doing laundry maybe every 2 weeks. As for the stove, as y'all saw me use this morning, all still works perfectly. That plumbing has never failed. That doesn't have any problems with cold temperatures. The only problem I end up having is since all this stuff is not fixed, bumpy enough roads will make this slide around, but worst thing that ever happens is they end up falling in here and I just have to grab them from behind the drawers, so it's never much of a problem. As for the main living space, the only changes have been me staining and spilling things on the couch. Everything still works fine. Under all of these, I still have access to the many more things that are in here than were a year ago. The outlets still function. My self-service boosting still functions. The bed and these lights, everything still works just fine. I don't use the keyboard as much as I wish I did, but it does still work. I have taken this van down every imaginable road condition. Everything has fallen. The laptop has flown across the van, slammed into that wall. The piano is flipped over. Everything that can break and can fall has fallen and broken. But everything's been mended and fixed and everything works fine now. All of that stuff is just me pushing it too far. But that's the spirit of adventure, is it not? My biggest recent change is my internet. I've gone through multiple different configurations and iterations of internet solutions. At first, it was just getting a cell booster with a small T-Mobile hotspot. That proved insufficient very quickly. So then I got a bigger T-Mobile home internet plan, which worked, but being limited to cell service was still not quite good enough. I have been living in vehicles for about 4 years now, and so knowing where and how to get cell service in remote places has been a skill that I've slowly nurtured. But in most remote places like this, it's just impossible. So getting Starlink satellite internet, which I'll link that video about this entire system and how I set it up in the description, has been by far the biggest game changer so far this year, allowing me to have internet not only here, but everywhere on Earth where I can see the sky. It's unbelievable how much that has changed my life and how much that has improved my ability to upload videos on YouTube especially. On this side, my thermostat for the propane heater still works perfectly fine. I haven't had to use it in a few months now because, well, it's been very hot in some places. So I've been mostly relying on my fan, which also has a thermostat. So what I will do a lot of the nights in the summer is that it'll get cold enough for it to be reasonable in here with no fan turned on, maybe 60 some degrees, and I'll have this turned on auto at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So as soon as the temperature exceeds 70, the fan automatically opens and exhausts as much air out as it needs to, pulling in air through my little side window, allowing me to stay at least somewhat reasonably cold. As you can see right now, it's 75 in here. It's set to 70, but I don't have the auto turned on, because 75 is perfectly fine. If you did want a deeper dive into all the specifics of the build, breaking down every appliance I used, how I set it up, how I built it, and why I chose it, I will link that video up there as well as in the description that I made last year explaining everything. Because aside from what I just explained, everything else has remained the same, and so I won't just remake that video again. I think now is a great time to answer some of your burning questions that I've seen in the comments asked many, many times throughout this last year about how I live in this van full time and what that looks like. Probably the question I get the most often is about the bathroom. As I explained in that initial video, when I first designed the van, I do not have a bathroom in here. I never intended there to be a bathroom. The way I set this up would not have an ideal space for one, and I just don't need one. I lived in vehicles for years, since the first trip I ever did in the vehicle I built was in 2018, and here we are in 2023. And so my knowledge of where to find bathrooms and how to just use the forest to your advantage is plenty sufficient for all of my bathroom needs. I've never once wished there was a bathroom in here, aside from maybe those crazy cold, snowy winter nights when I have to poop, and so I walk across a very snowy parking lot. It's been snowing, and snowing, and it has not let up whatsoever. Just insane. But I also kind of enjoy going outside in those conditions. And the other question I get asked quite often is about showering and how I clean myself while I'm on the road. I have a subscription to Anytime Fitness, by far the best multinational gym membership that you can get if you do this van life thing. When I first set out full-time in 2019, I had a Planet Fitness membership, and after just a couple months, I realized that was a mistake. Anytime Fitness is where it's at, and I've never doubted it since. It's great to have private, high-end bathrooms and showers across the entire continent. Some of them are very conveniently located, like the ones in Canmore or Lake Tahoe. So if you're looking to go full-time living on the road, Anytime Fitness, no doubt, that's the gym. Don't even look into other ones like 24 Hour and Planet Fitness. They're not even close to the same caliber, and it's absolutely worth a slight increase in price. Aside from the bathroom stuff, arguably the question I'm asked the most is about lockouts. What if I lock myself out of the van? What do I do? I highly doubt that's going to happen. The reason why is that pull tabs for the locking doors in the front don't exist. So the only way I can even leave the van is to unlock the door with the key fob, which means all the doors are going to be unlocked and they won't auto lock. On the off chance that they did auto lock, yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to shatter a window and use my spare key. But this van is designed for that to be quite improbable because there are no push-pull pistons to lock the doors in the front, and these ones in the back are stuck behind my insulation, so I don't need to access them. If the key fob were to die and I had to do that, then I would just reach up behind my insulation and pull those tabs and get myself out. But so far, that has not been a problem, and I have not locked myself out. It's quite difficult to do in a Ford Transit. It's very well designed for that. The other question I'm asked very often is things like this. How does he have power? How does he not run out of power? I didn't see a generator. There's no generator. There's the alternator from the engine, pumps out enough amperage that I can draw 60 of them into my back system. Every time the engine is on and every time I drive, I'm charging those batteries at 60 amps, meaning it takes me about 5 hours to charge them fully. Even though I might not be driving for 5 hours at a time, I don't actually draw enough power to need it that frequently. And on top of that, I have 350 watts of solar on the roof, which right now are more than plentiful to overpower my discharge rate in the broad direct sunlight that I have here in the Cascades in the middle of summer. In the winter, I rely almost exclusively on the power of the alternator. But I drive so much that running out of power is a rarity for me. Not that it's never happened. I've definitely run out of power in the back system. But when that happens, I just have to go reach up front, start the van, and instantly everything will come on back here. Fridge will come back on, charging will come back on, and the ability to raise and lower the bed, of course, will be restored. Wow. We've got a pretty good sunset here now, don't we? That is special. I'm gonna be honest. I think I can do 365 more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.